Hello everyone, Raindale here with a War of the Vision videos. Today we are going to talk about Fryevia in the 5th episode of our Unloved series, where we feature units that don't see much play in general in War of the Vision. The reason we're bringing Fryevia in is because Sakura has recently been released and she's an extremely powerful mage, so we'll be trying to see how our global spellblade that was extremely unpopular even upon release fares against the mage meta that is probably somehow coming back. So let's start by quickly looking at Fryevia's stats. Alright, so Fryevia is a unit which has one very specific strength that no other unit has as much as her, and that is innate magic resistance. If we look at her kit, she has magic resistance in her master ability, magic resistance in her base magic resistance of 15%, and then another 24% from passives that she can equip. So she can run without any Esper equipment or anything else. She can have 49% magic resist. Yeah, which is insane. Like no other unit has that much magic resist from the get-go. So this is one of her core strengths, and I would say it's the one thing that we can really leverage when bringing her, that she can do and no one else can do as well as she can. While looking at her passives, obviously the two passives that give magic resistance are good, but there's also Emerald Echo from the Green Mage subjob that can see some play in a couple circumstances. This means that every buff that she casts and debuffs will last for one extra turn. So it's possible to use, for example, TMRs that have a really good ability that lasts only for one turn, but if she's the one using them, it'll last for 2 turns. So in some scenarios, you might want to equip this instead of getting more magic resist, just to pull off some funky thing with very powerful short duration TMRs. Now, in terms of her counter abilities, she has 2 that I believe are stronger. If you're fighting magic teams, obviously Magic Guard is going to help you a lot. Fryevia already has a lot of mitigation against magical attacks, but Magic Guard has the advantage that it also mitigates damage from magic-based slashing attacks, such as the Ruined Knight's abilities, and other types of magic-based attacks, not only magic, so it will help her survive against other threats. Regenerator is interesting. It will regenerate a lot of HP for her because she has a lot of HP, basically. But since she is rather slow, she won't get many turns, so it won't proc very often. I find myself preferring Magic Guard if I'm fighting a magic-based team, and I'll equip Regenerator if I'm fighting physical teams that won't proc Magic Guard. Then her main job is the main reason people don't like her. The Spellblade main job is rather lackluster. It only has very short range abilities, and although they do damage and have some chance to inflict status effects, those are not the game-changing status effects that people like to see, such as Disable or Charm or whatever. You can poison enemies, you can silence them, but that won't really win you the game from the get-go. Her 2 main moves, I would say, are Blizzaga Blade, which has the advantage of dealing more damage, but also having a height range of 1, which is not a lot, but compared to the other moves that have a height range of 0, it is impactful. It also has a lot of damage, especially against wind units. And then Magic Barrier, which once again reduces magic-based damage. So you can really see it thematic in her kit. She is meant to be a magic tank. Her Limit Break, Ice Prison, is something that I find is necessary in her kit, because if you're not running the Spellblade subjob, it's your only range attack, and your only real AoE attack as well. It is a magic type, so it doesn't steal with slashing like her other moves, and it decreases AP consumption, which is nice, but really you want that for your range attack option. Alright, let's look at her subjobs quickly. The Spellblade subjob is actually one of the strongest for her, because it brings 2 great abilities, which are Resist Magic. She has 49, like we mentioned, Resist Magic before this buff. This will get her very high, and then she can easily get to 100 with an Esper or Vision card that increases magic resistance as well. And then Taunting Spell allows her to get Hate. So if you want to use her as a true tank, true magic tank, she needs the Spellblade subjob, otherwise she just can't get the Hate that she needs to do her job. I find the green mage sub to be lackluster compared to the white mage, so I've never really used it, even though I tried to make it work. It was never that great. But her white mage sub is actually quite strong as well. It is not strong offensively because it does not have Holy, but it does have Curetta, Full Life, and then the options of Protect, Shell, Izuna, like all white mages. So it's a nice thing to have in her kit because it allows her to be a tanky white mage that can deal some damage, and her AI, if you use her in Arena, is tailored so that if she has a chance to heal, she will do that before healing, if any ally around are lower than 50% HP, and she will also cast Full Life when a target is dead near her. So she really has a decent white mage AI now. Alright, now that we've said all that, let's bring her to Arena. In our case, we're using her as a split spellblade today, so let's see how it goes. Alright, so before we begin the battles, let's take a look at our battle plan, our team, and see what we have. So the Lady of the Hour is Fryevia. We are running her with as much magic resistance as possible in her base kit, so we have the 2 support abilities that give magic resistance, and we're running Regenerator instead of Magic Guard, because as long as our magic resistance buff is on, we have over 100% resistance, and we're just taking 1 damage, so we don't need the guard. So I'm using Regenerator in case we get hit by someone who's outside of magic damage type, because then we'll slowly get healed a little bit back up. All of her abilities from both sub-jobs are on, because her AI actually does the job decently of choosing between those. And we're running the Spellblade sub-job because we are built around the Resist Magic and Taunting Spell abilities, which are both in the sub-job, so we don't have much space to use something else. We're running an Ice Brand for the Ice attack up, Soul of the Massa for some decent magic and magic resistance, and then Lucia's TMR really just for agility. She is the slowest member of the team, so we need her to be able to move forward fast enough to get in front of the other guys, so this was necessary. I'll just quickly show the stats in case you want to copy this eventually on your team. Gaian also provides some magic resistance. And we're running Vow of Love because this is the way to trick Nivlu into casting her Time Mage abilities onto Fryevia. Without this, she would cast it on Halloween Little Leela and then move forward, and that's really not what we want. Again, we want Fryevia to be the first forward, otherwise our game plan just doesn't execute the way we want it to. Second unit is Halloween Little Leela. As you can tell, she's pretty squishy. We have some evasion, so that we might get a lucky dodge in, but honestly, if she's attacked, she will probably go down. We are running Fenrir because I wanted to give her some magic resistance and still run the slash resistance vision card, because if we do fight slash attackers in the enemy team, that always comes in handy, and it also provides her with a decent magic, even though we're not running an Esper to support her magic attack. So that's it for this. All the skills in her arithmetician job are turned on, but for White Mage, the only ability I have turned on is Full Life. So that's the only reason we're running this job, is to get our tank back up if she ever goes down. So I think that's all there is to say about her. Let me just show the stats once again, if you ever want to try to do something like this. Now our final unit is Nivlu. She's there mainly as a time mage to get Fryevia forward, and then she has a long enough range that she's going to stay behind and attack from range. We're running her with Odin for some extra resistances. I could run this team with a lot more offense than what I've done, but I did not want to kill the enemies too quickly, because we're trying to showcase a magic tank build. So if I kill the enemy mages before they get a chance to attack, I'm not really doing that properly. So I would not say this is the ideal build to run on Nivlu and Halloween Leela. We could go for something that's more offensive and possibly take out the enemies before they get a chance to hit, but that's not what we were going for in this team. So Nivlu has all the abilities of her sniper job turned on. In her time mage job, she has only haste and quicken turned on, because that's all we want her to do from this job. And then let's quickly look at the stats here. Once again, decent slash resistance, decent missile resist because that's what she has in her base, and she's very weak against magic. So out of the enemies we'll be facing today, if she gets hit, there's a good chance that she's going down. So that's it, and as you can tell, we're only running her at 683 attack. She could go much higher, but again, we don't want to take out the enemies too quickly. That's not the goal of our team. So with that in mind, let's take it to battle and see how it goes. Okay, here we found a decent enemy team. They're using Lucia, who Fryevia is strong against because of her innate wind resistance that's very high. And then the other two characters are mages. So if we can get her forward and in position to tank, she will definitely survive a long time. We changed our setup a little bit so that it's entirely focused on getting Fryevia first. Our two other units have AIs that keep them back for a couple turns while they cast their buffs. So that should normally allow her to move forward first and get into the action. She is casting her resist magic, which is exactly what we want her to do. So if she's getting hit by mages in the next 3 turns, her resistance is above 100%, so exactly where we want it to be. Now, we can tell that the other guys will move forward before she gets another turn, so I'm fairly scared of them all getting hit. But the idea with our setup is that Quicken will be cast quickly, so unless the enemy moves forward in the very first turns, we will have Fryevia in front by the time the combat begins. Unfortunately, they did get in range for Scal's Limit Burst, which has a pretty decent range, but as you can tell, it didn't do that much damage, and we're now going for their back line. So we're really not in a scenario where Fryevia will tank much, since she's to the side and the other guys went through the middle to attack. Let's see if she can get in range before all of our guys get killed and tank some hits. It seems like she still cannot. This map is really rough for units with only one jump. I hope this is enough to show this much. We do have the Unloved card, so as you can tell, no damage here, or 1 point of damage, I guess, from this attack. And then even quadruple shot doesn't do much when you have a 30% wind resistance. So we really don't take much damage if it's against what we're strong against. The damage is not that great normally, but against wind units, Fryevia actually hurts very hard. Blade has a positive modifier against those, and there are a couple factors that increase this damage. But honestly, damage is not the main reason to run this unit. It's not her strong suit by any means. But still, as you can see, in the right setup, it does hurt quite a bit. Alright, here we go. We managed to find an enemy Sakura along with Agrias and Ildira. I am scared of Agrias disabling us before we get a chance to get our hate up. But if we do get the hate up that we want, even Sakura, even though she's the brand new unit and has a lot of spirit resistance, she's not going to hit us for very hard because she still does magic attacks. And as long as we keep our magic resistance high enough, she won't do much damage. Now in terms of starting position, they are rather far, but the way my team acts, they sort of group together anyways, so I don't foresee this being much of an issue. So we are now casting Quicken onto Fryevia, and since Sakura is coming on the same side as her, this should mean that they're going to cross in the middle, and Fryevia should be the target of the attacks coming in. So we're quickening her, sending her forward again with an agility boost, and she should be able to get some turns and keep her hate up. Now hopefully the rest of the team doesn't die in the meantime. We are now seeing Sakura's Limit Break, which, as you've probably experienced, does a lot of damage, but doesn't matter when your resistance is 100. You don't take much damage. And as you've possibly noticed, we could actually get our resistance way above 100. It's just that it's the cap, but we're not running maxed out magic resistance vision card right now, and we're also not running a maxed out magic resist Esper. So it's very easy, even if your account is not insanely strong, to use a unit like this and go very high in terms of magic resist. And that is also the strength of the Spellblade job in general. 38 points of resistance against a single type of damage is incredibly powerful, no matter which unit has it. So if you're fighting the right damage type, it's very, very powerful. Now we'll see an attack on Agrias, and that does a surprising amount of damage in my book. Hitting Agrias for 2000 on a unit with such a low init attack is actually very good. And the reason why she hurts that much on this unit is because Agrias is a tank with a low amount of spirit. She usually runs a very high amount of defense, but has low spirit, and then runs high faith in order to play status effects. So Fryevia will not resist those status effects. She's still very much in danger when fighting Agrias, but she can hit Agrias for decent damage once she gets in her face, so that's at least one thing in her favor. I would say this was a pretty good match. We did our job. Let's find another. Alright, so our final match for today is looking very good, actually. Our enemy, I'll show you the cards, I think it's worth it. So our enemy is running a very high magic offense setup. They have not a maxed out trousseau, but the other two cards are maxed out, so they can have a very high slash resistance, unfortunately for Fryevia. And resistances in general are very high, and then their magic attack is also going to be very high. So hopefully, once again, Fryevia gets in front, has her magic resistance buff up, and will tank a couple hits. When using a magic resistance build like what we're running here, you have to be wary of enemy kill phase, because she has the ability to reduce magic resistance by as much as the buff that we're casting. So that means if we have both buffs on, we're still going to keep 75% resistance, but it is a threat. It is a way for us to take more than one damage against some attacks. So we have to keep it in mind. It could possibly alter our game plan and be very negative for us. Now the enemy moves forward in a different angle from usual, which means we also approach from a different side, but that's fine because Fryevia is in front and she's going to be tanking hits from magic attacks without any trouble. Once again, we see almost no damage from our enemy. She did some damage to us. I believe that's because she has Soul of Tamasa and pierces magic resistance a little bit, but honestly, the amount of damage we took is insignificant compared to what we still have in terms of HP, so I'm not scared that we're going to die anytime soon. Unfortunately, Nivlu moved forward, which will kill her. I should have probably turned off Comet, because otherwise she would have attacked from a longer distance, and even though Comet was the highest damage option, it was clearly the worst option among those we had. So now it's up to only 2 of our members to take the win, unless we get a revive from Halloween Little Lila. We may get the revive, but even then, Nivlu's still in range to get hit by very dangerous attacks, so I'm not sure she's gonna live for very long in this position. So let's see. And we're all grouped now, so this is rather scary. So even though we have a tank, I'm still afraid that they're going down. Rebel Intention did a very high amount of damage to us this time. Our magic resistance buff has wore out by then, so it's normal that we get hit for some damage, but honestly, getting hit for 2000 through our magic resistance buff and 75% magic resistance is impressive. So you have to say, if you're not at 100% resistance, Sakura is probably going to kill you very easily, as we've seen right now. Alright, so now we've done a couple battles. You were able to see how much a spellblade can be used in battle against mages, especially Fryevia. Now, my verdict, if you have her, you probably already decided whether you wanted to build her or not. Is she a must-have? No, unfortunately. She's a unit that has some very, very niche uses in which she shines a lot, but there are other units who can do that kind of job. It's possible to hit the max resistances with other spellblades, so you don't need Fryevia to do that. Is it fun to have a possible white mage that's pretty tanky and can do some decent damage? Yes. But is she really worth your investment? I would say unless you're a big fan and you really want to make her work, not really. Did I enjoy playing her, and do I still use her a lot? Yes, but that's because I have nostalgia from the FFBE. She was one of the first characters I really loved, so I kind of want to make her work in more Division, hence the video. So I hope you liked it, and I hope you possibly got an idea or two from it. If you did enjoy it, please give me a like and subscribe, and I'll be posting more of those videos in the future, so you can see those. And then, yeah, if you have other suggestions, other units you want me to run, just let me know, and I'll work on them in the future. So thanks once again, and have a great rest of your day.